Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another TLDR video. I am your host of Video Pickles, and today we're going to be talking about The Dark Apprentice. This was written by Kevin Anderson and is the second book in the Jedi Academy trilogy series. So this book starts with, I'm going to chunk it into like a, I don't know how to say this. So this book takes place about 6 months after the events of the first book. And so we have Leia that is trying to continue to do the political thing. Han is there with her, and he is getting super annoyed that he's always stuck with the children. But she goes on an ambassador mission to go ambassador things at Planet Vortex, which is home of the Vor, which are bird-like creatures, to witness a historical event. However, when she's flying there with Admiral Akbar, his ship isn't responding to any of his controls. She has to get ejected out of the ship, and he crashes into it, tearing down this historic ancestral crystal tower and killing hundreds of Vor. And so that is how we're kind of introduced into the events of this book. And Han loses on his way to go help Leia. Lando is there just kind of picking on him for a little bit. They decide that they're going to play another game of sabacc to see who really owns the Millennium Falcon. Han loses. And when Leia is brought back with Admiral Akbar and everything, there's a communal going on to decide what to do with Admiral Akbar. And Admiral Akbar decides that he is going to resign in disgrace and go back home to his home planet. He said there's nothing more he can do here. He is so sorry. And he even had his own personal mechanic go over his ship to see if there was any issues with it. There wasn't any issues. The mechanic told him. So he was like, yep, so this was just me. And so he decides to go home. On his way, he goes to visit Winter, who has baby Anakin off in the middle of nowhere to protect him from any influence of the dark side. Then he goes home. And Leia finds out after that Mon Mothma is dying. She has a disease that is wasting her away, so Leia has to take on more responsibilities than what she currently has. So she's like, all right, I'm going to do that, but I need Admiral Akbar back, so I'm going to go get him. So she goes and to try and convince him to come back. And then through all of this again, there's another game of sabacc between Lando and Han. Lando loses and the Falcon goes back to Han. And we have Wedge and Qui who are trying to help clean up the tower, and they're just trying to help the New Republic, doing like small little jobs. And Wedge is falling in love with Qui, and Qui is adorably oblivious for a while. They go to a tourist planet. They're just like, oh yeah, she's giving her jewelry. They're starting a relationship. It's cute, adorable. I love every single chapter in this book about it. And we'll go back to that. And Dala was hiding in a nebula cluster to have repairs put on one of her Star Destroyers. And once it's fixed, everything's good to go, they decide they're going to attack the Republic. And so they attack a small colony that was full of Gantoris' tribe and destroy everything. And then they retreat back to the Nebula Cluster to find a new target. When they hear that Leia's headed to Calamari, they decide they're going to attack Calamari, and they do. And while they're attacking, Akbar realizes they're using Ma Tarkin's go-to technique. So he figures out how to beat them at it, and they leave when they see recruits coming back to go gather their forces and everything because they destroy another Star Destroyer. And so when the attack on Calamari happens, Akbar decides he needs to stay there. He cannot leave. He needs to help his people. But the ambassador goes to the academy that Luke set up, and Leia goes back to her home planet, which I can't remember the name of, so I'm just going to call it Croissant. I'm so sorry. And at Luke's academy, we have Gantoris, who did not know yet that his whole colony has been destroyed, but he has been listening to a dark man who has been teaching him how to use different things in the Force and has been teaching him how to build a lightsaber. He sees this as beating Luke Skywalker at being a master, and therefore he deserves more. So he builds a lightsaber. He challenges Luke to a fight. Luke stops the fight. He's just like, no, we are not doing this. So Gantoris decides that night to confront the Dark Man and try and fight him. He cannot fight him. He loses, and his body is found the next day. Right after that, Kip shows up to be a part of the Jedi Academy, the Jedi training. After a couple of days, Kip is met by this Dark Man because he has the most potential to use the Force out of all of the recruits. So he is quickly developing faster, he wants to know more, he wants to do more, and Luke keeps telling him, you need to learn patience, you need to calm down. And this dark influence is telling him, don't listen to him. I can make you better. So he listens to the dark influence and decides that he is better, smarter, and he is going to leave. So he steals another recruit's ship and leaves. And while he's gone, he decides he's going to kill the whole empire. He's like, I'm going to do what nobody had the guts to do. I'm going to wipe them all out. So he goes back to the training academy because the Dark Man is Exar Kun, who is a Sith Lord, and his ghost is still attached to that moon. So he is siphoning off energy off of Kip. Kip's siphoning energy off of him. They lift the Sun Crusher from its resting place in a gas planet core, where they put it since nobody can destroy it. And he uses that to attack Dala and her forces while they're hiding in the nebula. And when they do that, he also attacks Luke, because Luke's trying to stop him. Luke's trying to talk some sense into him, and he's not listening. So he attacks Luke. Luke is now in this weird coma on the academy, and nobody really knows what to do. And Kip goes, as a part of keeping the knowledge away from the Empire, he goes to that planet where Wedge and Qui are on a vacation. They're just hanging out. Wedge is trying to romance Qui. They have their first kiss. It is so cute. It is such a cute chapter, until Kip finds her in her room and rips out all of the memories of all of the weapons she has ever built for the Empire, and destroys those memories, but leaves her there in this little puddle of mess. So we end this book having gone through all of that, and it's pretty ridiculous. It is pretty ridiculous. And all throughout all of this, we have the twins on Coruscant that are just causing chaos and mayhem. Han leaves Chewie in charge of them for like a chapter and a half, and they get lost in an underground. They meet some feral humans down there, an ogre, a rat monster, and I'm like, they're just 2.5. They're just 2.5. And this book, it did all of this in a very emotionally manipulative way that took me a long time to finish it, just because I was like, no. But hello everyone, I'm so sorry, I forgot to put down that the whole totes or nope thing. I was recording a batch of these in like a couple of days. I completely forgot that was a whole thing I was going to be doing. So that'll be, is this book a totes or no? Obviously it is a totes. I rated the first book a 5 out of 5. And I rated this book a 4 out of 5. So it is a definite totes from me. That's where we're at so far. It ends like right there. So we have an opportunity to jump into the third book, but we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. Don't forget to look in the description below for the long form review of this video or of this book, which hopefully when I get that recorded and up will be linked down there. Also the link to my socials. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I will hopefully talk to you guys later. Bye.